Welcome to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge, your front row seat to the boldest ideas and smartest strategies in the marketing game. Your host is Reed Hansen, Chief Growth Officer at MarketSurge.
Hello again. Welcome back to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge. On today's episode, we're joined by Paula Chiocchi, veteran marketer, data evangelist, and founder and CEO of Outward Media. Since 1998, Paula has built one of the industry's largest B2B databases that include 18 million plus businesses, 140 million plus contacts, with a 95% accuracy guarantee, helping organizations turn raw data into repeatable revenue engines. A former Dun & Bradstreet strategist and Forbes agency council member, she's here to share how the right data strategy can supercharge targeting, personalization, and measurement in any B2B go-to-market playbook. Paula, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Reed. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and it's great.
I want to qualify that 95% is the accuracy on the email contact address.
Perfect. Well,
Yep. We guarantee that.
The important part. So that's
the important part, the contact. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that is a tremendous value. And, as somebody that deals in data, B2B data, I know that's really difficult to do. So you have a great process, clearly. If we could jump into, the world of data a bit. So what would you say some of the most common dirty data pitfalls? I borrowed this phrase. What are some of those pitfalls that you see, and how do they undermine campaign performance?
Well, if the contact is matched to the wrong company, which we see, not for us specifically, but we have controls and processes for that. But if you have the wrong contact at the wrong, a contact at the wrong company, you got a problem because you're not targeting the correct business or person. And then secondarily, with the contacts, what we brought on that 95% guarantee, Reed, because it cut through the noise of everybody saying we've got all these millions of contacts. Well, are they accurate? Okay, so that's why we put the guarantee in our contract. We put our money where our mouth is. I mean, we are going to guarantee that these contacts are accurate and they're properly matched. And then that's what creates the outcome of the ROI. Okay, so if you mentioned dirty data, if your database is 30% wrong, your in-house data or data that you license, but look at the waste. Yeah. Programmatic to social to email marketing to direct mail. I mean, people are using all those channels. You have huge waste, and then that's going to directly impact the ROI outcome of your campaign. So starting with that contact being correctly matched and accurate is huge. It's big. It's important.
So, and to underline your point, I've been a customer of buying B2B data in the past, and I've pursued a variety of sources, including hiring a VA to scrape off of LinkedIn, or I get like a dozen emails every day offering to sell me B2B data, anonymous.
Me too.
Right.
Me too.
And, never with any sort of guarantee. And I've done it a few times, and in each case I've had very high miss rates. And so it's rare to get that quality of data. I don't know if you can pull back the curtain at all. And just out of curiosity, is there, can you talk through your process? Like how are you able to achieve those high rates? Like what are you doing differently?
We process probably 50, 60 million opt-in registrations a month.
Okay.
And then what we do is we're B2B focused, but we match between the B2B and the residential or the personal address information. We match all that together. But then we developed our own technologies to actually go out onto the web and verify them within social profiles. Okay. Is that really where that person works and who they say they are? So it's a little bit of proprietary technology that we build to help foster that. Mm-hmm. And then your basic hygiene that probably every data company does. We obviously include that as well. But I think that's the main focus is that we built that specific process technology-wise to accomplish that.
That's
and it's
fantastic.
working.
Yeah. Well, and you know, having a proprietary technology and advanced matching is obviously really important. It used to be that we were able to create, say, in Meta ads, like lookalike audiences very easily using cookie tracking. And for instance, in Europe, that's nearly impossible now.
Right.
And
Right.
in the US, it's uh, I mean, I think we go back and forth, and we I think there's definitely forces that would like to eliminate those, and others that don't.
Yeah.
Um, so 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 the cookie potential is definitely in flux, or maybe going away. We don't know. But how should B2B marketers balance building their own first party data sets just based on
Mhm.
their own sales data or own web data versus licensing sources from third party like yourself?
Well, first party data is obviously the most important. It's your customer,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
But typically for most companies, they want more customers.
Mhm.
So you can't just rely on that. So you mentioned the lookalikes. With respect to outside of the country, yes, it is a problem because you have to have complete total opt-in to be able to use any record outside of the US. And so that fosters you taking a look at the company that maybe from an IP address, and then just making a guess by function and title as to which contacts to send your messaging and your advertising to, which probably has about 30% waste is what we figured out. Domestically, not as tough, right? Because you don't have to have that explicit opt-in. You mentioned building audiences. We totally believe in building lookalike audiences. You mentioned them in Meta. Meta is kind of the black box where you kind of have to just depend on them to do it. But whereas with LinkedIn, what we're doing for our clients and agencies is building the actual audience, a custom audience, and then that gets put into LinkedIn. So you're not using LinkedIn's, uh, this is what I want industry wise, contact wise, what have you, geo wise, and then you have no idea where the advertising went. If you have the custom audience built and then you upload it into LinkedIn, you know who the audience is,
Mhm.
and you know how to do the match back for the ROI, the sales, etc. And we've had as high as 75% match rates to LinkedIn, so that's pretty strong.
That is really strong. And um, so let's talk about some of the specifics. Now, obviously, contact information is super helpful, and that's where you have to start. If you can't reach deliverability, then throw
Mhm.
everything else out. What what are some of the other enrichment signals or other fields that would include like intent data or
And
footprint on other sites, or even a history of purchase? What other signals deliver the biggest lift in conversion rates, and just in your experience?
well, I think the main one we're involved in is the intent data.
Okay.
That's the main one we're involved in. And then also you mentioned tracking from the website.
Hmm.
So we totally believe in being able to match that IP address. A lot of times it's a company because we're B2B focused, right? So and then from there we can kind of, again, it gets back to the assumption as to who that contact is. Uh, those are the main ones right now we're seeing, but yeah, I guess what we're seeing is an increase in just using the AI, right?
Mm. Okay.
To help refine what you're doing. I don't know if that helped you or not.
Yeah, it does. And maybe we could talk a little bit more about that. The is the AI, are you able to participate in your clients' campaigns in terms of see the returns and see those conversions? Do you get data back periodically from
Some
those? Okay.
some will just say, "Yeah, it went great. We'll do it again." Okay.
Yeah, that's a great signal.
Yeah, yeah, right. How great. But some do actually give us the metrics. What how many visitors, how the revenue that they generated,
Mhm.
sales they had, et cetera. So then we can kind of mold that moving forward for the next campaigns. But some are real proprietary. And they just say that that it did work out.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think when the ones that share, it's awesome because it kind of helps us know how to keep moving it forward. Right?
Yes. Yes. Um, Now, as far as you've worked with a lot of different technologies. Um, so say I'm a B2B focused organization. What would you say are the key categories of tools that I would need to have in place to really leverage good data to market with it, to sell with it? What would you recommend somebody that's starting out have in place?
That's a good question because what we're seeing is, that especially in the larger companies, is they may have like 10 tech stacks they're not using, but maybe one feature or whatever or aspect or module per tech stack, and they're spending millions of dollars. So, and then what we're seeing is some of them are collapsing those down and not having as much technology because, especially since they're not using it. So, I would say, in particular, is your CRM is very important because one of the things you can use AI is to also help you um, set up the nurture tracks where the human doesn't have to physically do it themselves based on the response and the journey that particular quote prospect is leading is going to. So it's definitely huge. Obviously, CRM is very important.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. And it's probably worth noting that once you procure this data, you can absolutely match it. So you're acquiring a list of people with intent, and
Mhm.
then there would be tremendous value in matching that versus your existing client database to see if there were any matches and overlap. And of course, this could be used for creating audiences in ads, those direct ads or programmatic. And so it's like you can buy the data once and use it in a lot of different
Yes.
marketing
Yeah.
processes, even print.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Even print. The model is kind of like all you can use versus all you can eat.
You're
you
right,
know,
right.
and you can use it as much as you want if you did a data license.
Hmm.
So that could be used, as you mentioned, programmatic, social, email marketing, print, direct mail, anything. Uh, so that's the best efficiency cost wise is to
Hmm.
go that way. But a lot of times what customers want to do is they want to test it out before they bite off the whole
Hmm.
licensing model.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That works too. But to back up a little bit on intent, because
Yeah.
we've done so many campaigns where we do basic, no intent, intent, and then I know one client had an overlay of advertising spend. How much were these companies spending on advertising? And so if we had a response rate, I think it was right around the 10, it was a well-known brand, 10% response rate on the nothing overlay. When we went to the intent, it doubled. It was like
Mhm.
23%. And then when they had the advertising overlay, which is data that they bought, it jumped to 35%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, adding on those extra areas of honing in on these individuals and how they're responding, et cetera, and the intent plus the what they purchased, because you mentioned that before,
Mhm.
uh, creates more and more ROI.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Not 10% was bad, but I
no,
mean, but
no,
if you
yeah.
can double it,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And it provides additional touch points, and people tend to need, whether it's the authority that comes from seeing the brand in multiple places, or the reminders, or or the way they learn about a brand. It seems to really benefit from being on multiple platforms, seeing it in different places, and that makes the journey a little bit more effective for a lot of these clients.
I
Um,
totally agree.
yeah.
Well, what I would say is I'm not a big fan of the last touch attribution.
Ah.
You know,
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know if you are, but I feel like it's all together, and whether they got a direct mail piece and then later they clicked on the programmatic ad or whatever, they got that direct mail piece,
Yeah.
okay, or they received an email. And to me, it should be more blended, because it's that experience all the way around.
Yeah, and actually, I agree with you. I think that definitely a metric you should collect, but you do need to account for all the touch points because and the sum because uh, it's usually an aggregation of multiple factors that push people into a sale rather than
Right.
right in the moment.
But what you have is sometimes, and especially in the larger companies, is I did the email campaign, and that's where the final sale came in.
That's right. Yeah, the little territory.
Fight for budget, right? Yeah, they
That's
fight
right.
for budget, but it's like,
The
to me,
email team's doing their job. Where's the print team?
yeah, yeah, that's right.
Um, well, so you're based in California, and I'm painfully aware that California does have some very strict privacy laws around opting in, and so we're always very careful, especially with the phone piece of it, but not limited to that. The email can be can pose some financial risk if you do this incorrectly. So there's the GDPR and CCPA set of regulations. What would you tell somebody that is trying to market, and prevent some loss or fines from violating these legislation acts, and avoid that kind of risk? Because we're doing this in mass, and how do we protect ourselves?
Well, I think it's mostly relevant with pretty much with email marketing more so than, say, programmatic ad serving. For us, I mean, that's why we have opt-in consent on the file. So it's very important, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there are so many companies now, and it's almost like cottage industry at this stage that are just saying, remove my record, right? And we're flooded with those every day. Now you have to do that if they give you the right information. If they give you your name, address, and email, then you have to remove that. If they just give you a name, Susan Smith, you don't have to. But you have to be very diligent about that, because that's where the potentially be sued.
Right.
And then you don't want that. So if you're looking for a data supplier, is what did they stand behind? What did they guarantee? What did they say that how the database is built on? And that should be part of the contract negotiation in order to protect yourself as a user of the data from potential misuse of data that you're not supposed to be using. And that's very critical. Very critical.
Yeah. Well, and probably underscores the point of dealing with a responsible vendor like yourself versus somebody that screen scrapes, without regard to any of those databases.
Not good. Not good.
Yeah.
So if they can't give you an indication, or like, we publish this is how we build our database. I mean, that's a document published.
Yeah.
If they can't give you that, I would be a little bit concerned, because you want to know how they're building that. And no, we do not screen scrape. We don't do that. We don't scrape websites, any of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's like, we all have to do what we can. But there are definitely some risks you have to be conscious of. And for those that may not know, you could, I haven't faced this personally. I have actually received a couple threats in years past, kind of like, and I've actually seen the same template a couple times where they will cite the GDPR and say, like, put me in touch with your legal department for violation of this. And it's scary. Nobody has followed through on anything, but literally, like, you could be at risk of paying hundreds of dollars for each violation. And, nobody wants to pay that. And,
no,
you just don't want to be liable or, have to deal with that. So
you respond to it, right? I mean,
exactly.
When they giving you all the information, because I checked with our legal team, and they said, look, if they have to give you X, Y, and Z, if they just send you Susan Smith, she's in Minneapolis or Chicago, I mean, you don't know. Right. So they've got to give you the full record of information. and then respond, yes, we removed you from the database.
Yeah.
And then keep a record of a suppression file.
Right.
It's just like when you do a campaign, in particular email campaign for a client, opt-outs happen. Okay.
Yes.
So then that goes into the company's suppression file, and then it goes into our suppression file on behalf of the company. So then when we do the next campaign, we don't send those. You can't send those another email. And as you know, you have 10 days to be able to achieve that, right? To get it out of the database.
Right. Right. Now I'm curious, do you, how as an agency, at your company, do you use this good data? Do you do a lot of outreach campaigns? Do you do programmatic? Do you
For ourselves?
for yourselves? Yeah, I'm just curious. Like, do you eat
We
your
do
own dog?
email. We do
Okay.
we do email campaigns.
Yes. Okay.
We have for years. And some of them get really, really high response rates and some don't. So, we're getting ready to do one for agencies because we just launched, there's a company called Fusion 92 that we just launched our data in their platform.
Okay.
Where a client can come in, or anybody, and run counts in their platform. It's like lightning fast to develop a programmatic or direct mail audience is what we're offering there, or both, and then export it themselves. Pricing, everything's done right inside the platform. So
That's
it's
very cool. Very cool.
pretty exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's just so much. I mean, obviously, with good data, with people with buying intent, that's exactly who you need to be reaching out to. And we're able to do so much more now than we were in the past. That's really enabling outbound marketers, which is fantastic. But looking forward, based on what you see now, what emerging trends do you like, or maybe are wary of, that might reshape the B2B data marketplace?
Well, one of the things we're also using AI for, Reed, is cleaning our data, which is, and I'm sure our competitors are doing the same thing, but that's making us more efficient and faster. I think using AI, because I've been having conversations with quite a number of people about this, is not forgetting the human element. Okay. Because I don't believe AI can conduct itself, even in copywriting, anything like that, to be human. And even in B2B marketing, this, they now are looking for the human element. And then with most of the millennials, they want to know what your company stands for. They're into sustainability. They're into how you get back to the community. You can't be able to do that just having copy written by AI tools. I mean, you could start there. Right. Certainly we do, but then we go in and massage it further. Right. So I think that the AI tools are good, and I don't know if it's say scary, but good and not so good at the same time. Good for efficiencies, cutting back on time, but then know the how much you can use it. Okay, and not lose. I mean, I'm not sure when robots are going to develop feelings in these lifetimes. So that would be some focus on.
I know. Just to make sure every prompt has please and thank you in it, and for the future. So do you anticipate, I think one valid complaint, and I get this too, I'm an outbound marketer, and is that the volume of outbound email is very high, and people are annoyed with it. There's if you've done this long enough, you know that the big email providers like Microsoft and Google do their best to block those that send out too many or inaccurate or spammy emails. What do you think is next for that? Do you think do you think that we'll be forced into doing higher quality emails, more personalized emails? What do you predict there?
Less is going to be more. Less is going to be more. I mean, I've been doing this long enough to remember it was like, let's send 50 million.
Yeah.
Back, I mean, I'm talking 20 years ago.
Sure.
And then million or whatever, and
Mhm.
more prescriptive,
Mm.
smaller, and then because of the things that you just brought up with Outlook and Google's
Yeah.
that's why we developed our own ESP. So
Mm.
we know how to navigate those waters, and we stay on top of what the rules of the game are, and if they change, and they change fast.
Yeah.
So that a team of people that stay up on that as well. So because our deliverability typically is usually in the 87-90% range.
That's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we want it to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But now the even though you can say you have deliverability, is anybody actually those open and click rates actually valid? So we developed a technology to pull out the ones that aren't valid, because what was happening about a year ago is people say, "Oh, I got a 50% open rate." No, you didn't. Okay,
Right.
nobody gets a 50% open rate on cold email.
Right.
And then you pull back the covers, and you find that it's the corporate servers are checking the links.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
and they do it fast,
Uh-huh.
right? So it's like
Yeah.
because they're trying to detect malware.
Right.
Okay, because it's deposited on their servers. So what we developed a technology, whatever you want to call it, technology, a way to say, okay, if the links were clicked within whatever they programmed in 10 seconds or whatever it is, no human does that. And no human clicks on 10 links.
Mhm.
Okay, and then what we do is we remove that from the statistics of how the campaign did on the open and click rate. But we had to learn that because it was crazy. There's no way you had 50%
Right.
open rate or 40% click rates. It's not happening.
Right. Well, and
So-
the underscores the need for an active ESP management system. Where you're reacting to these things, and because on the other end, Google and Microsoft are fighting you or restricting you, and you have to adapt.
You have to learn how to deal with it, and then also you have to educate your client.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, we're not going to be if your campaign is 300,000 to be sent,
Mhm.
it's not going to happen in 1 hour,
Yeah.
one day. Okay, I mean, and you have to prepare them for that. Because I actually had somebody calls a couple of years ago, and he says, "Well, I'm getting a 50% open rate. It would be from a company that you would know, a competitor that we actually are friendly with." And I said, well, "Then you should." He didn't tell me who it was first. I said, "Well, then you should stay where you're at, because I'm not going to be able to do that." And he goes, "No, I think it's all fraud." So then when I got on the phone with him, I said, "It's not fraud, not intentional. They just haven't figured out that now this is what's going on."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, anybody, even people with no experience knows that's not going to happen.
Right. Right.
Those kind of open. I mean, in your customer file, you would expect 40, 50%, right?
Yeah.
To engage with something that you're setting in.
Right. Yeah. But cold email, that's unrealistic.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for the future. I think AI presents a lot of opportunities, both in getting better data, like you said, and in better navigating the pipelines between the email servers. And Paul, I think it sounds like you have a tremendous system, and I would emphasize how important it is to have leads with high accuracy and a company that has been doing this for a long time and can back it up. Paul, if anybody is interested in working with you, acquiring this kind of data, getting your expertise, how could they reach out to you?
They can reach out to me personally at paula@outwardmedia.com, or you can go to the website, and we have an ability to set a meeting through the calendar system on the website.
Awesome.
Set up an exploratory meeting. Happy to talk to any.
No, that's great. And Paul, I've really enjoyed meeting with you these last few weeks, and I would point anybody that is interested in the best quality B2B data to go your way. Thanks so much.
Want to stay ahead of what's actually working in marketing right now? Head over to MarketSurge.io and see how we're helping businesses grow smarter, faster, and louder. That's MarketSurge.io, because your next breakthrough shouldn't be a guess.